Deltarune is coming out tomorrow by the time this video comes out, and in the meantime I've been preparing a bingo card for it, for things that I think could happen in the next chapter. I actually did make a bingo card for chapters 3 and 4, but I ended up not utilizing them at all because I was upset, because I swear I genuinely considered adding a Gerson shows up option to my bingo card last year for chapters 3 and 4. But then I was like, there's no way Gerson is actually going to show up, right? Guess what fucking happened in chapter 4? So yeah, because of that, I ended up not using that bingo card at all. This year though, I'm probably better prepared for this, I hope. This is a bingo for chapter 5. I'm just gonna go over it. Flower Shop Dark World. I think there's like a 90% chance that the Dark World is going to happen in the flower shop. People expected it to be the flower shop from chapter 4 because Gerson talked about the field of pink and gold. The field already makes you think of flowers. Flower shop is the only flower-focused place that we know of in Deltarune, so it makes sense. Especially after the trailer, we see that the whole Dark World is themed around flowers, so it just makes sense that's the most likely location for the Dark World to happen, but I don't know that for sure. Night identity revealed. The thing is, I think chapter 5 is going to reveal a lot, because chapter 5 is gonna be the last chapter from this chapter formula that we know of, because chapter 5 is the last secret boss we're gonna get before we get a weapon unlocked from Shaum. The deltarune.com/chapter 5 website has this thing with only 5 numbers, and this seems to be tied to the weird root in some capacity. And if you go to chapter 6, we just get dog check. Chapter 7 is also dog check. Chapter 5 is gonna be the last normal-ish adventure kind of thing, so I'm expecting a lot of things to be revealed in chapter 5. Not everything, but maybe we're gonna reveal Knight's identity. Would be cool to know for sure who the Knight actually is. People think it's Des. I still think it's more likely for the Knight to be Carol, but only time will tell, I guess. The roaring happens. Like I said, something big is going to happen this chapter that's going to lead directly to chapter 6. If the roaring happens and everyone has to hide in the shelter, I would love to see it happen. Azriel shows up. I have no idea if he's gonna show up for the festival, but I guess it would make sense if he took a break from college specifically to visit the hometown for the festival. It would be cool to see him, finally. Maybe he's more significant to the lore than being absent for the whole game. Des shows up. That I think is unlikely. Either Des is gonna turn out to be the Knight, or she's dead. I don't think we're gonna see her, but maybe we will. So I left it here on this bingo card just in case it's gonna happen. We get inside the shelter. I already talked about this. I think it's possible that at the end of chapter 6, I mean chapter 5, we're gonna have to get to the shelter. Not just we, but maybe the whole town. Who knows? Or maybe it's just us, and we're gonna have to discover something inside it in chapter 6. I don't know. Friend encounter. What I'm hoping for is more than just one small cameo, like we had in chapters 2 and 3. I want to see Friend in a more significant way than just this face showing up with no context for a few seconds. If I see Friend, I'm gonna check this off the bingo. Papyrus finally. I just wanna see Papyrus, man. Papyrus fans are starving for Papyrus content since Undertale ended over 10 years ago. I just wanna see Papyrus, man. Asgore in Dark World. Well, considering how it's gonna be in the flower shop, most likely, not guaranteed, it would also make sense for Asgore to show up. Undyne gets rescued. I don't think it's gonna happen, but maybe it will, so I'm leaving it here just in case. I find it unlikely because I think if we're going to get into the shelter, it's only gonna happen at the end of the chapter. Flowey reference. I do not mean that one attack of the Cyan Soul that we've seen in the trailer, because that's not a reference to Flowey, that's a reference to the Cyan Soul. Purple Soul mode. There is like a 33% chance that it's gonna happen. This is a gamble. It's possible that we're gonna get a Purple Soul mode, or maybe it's gonna be blue, or maybe we're not gonna get a special soul mode and the secret boss is only gonna be a red card. And the only two soul colors left that we haven't had yet from Undertale are purple and blue. Me saying purple is kind of a gamble, but I think purple is just more likely than blue, simply because blue is more associated with the skeletons, like Papyrus and Sans, and I don't think these characters are gonna be relevant in chapter 5. To be fair though, yellow soul is associated with Metaton from Undertale, but Spamton Neo used it too, so it doesn't have to mean that blue is specific to the skeletons, but I just think purple is more likely. Does Muffet even exist in Deltarune? I don't remember her from Deltarune. She seems to be the most forgettable character from the entire franchise. This is kinda sad, because I kinda liked her. At one explosion gif. This is 100% gonna happen, it's more like a free space, hence why I put this in the middle, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Noelle in Dark World. I fucking hope so, mainly because I really want to freeze some more enemies. I couldn't do that in chapters 3 and 4. If I won't be able to do that in chapter 5, I will be disappointed. The weird route is what I'm looking forward to the most in this chapter. Susie and Noelle kiss. I don't think that's gonna happen. But it would be cool. Colored flowers act like souls Undertale. We've already seen an attack from the Cyan Soul in the trailer. My guess is that the flowers from the flower shop are directly going to reference the same attacks from the souls in Undertale that Omega Flowey used against us. Noelle meets the Knight. You know what would be really cool? If we got a rematch with the Knight in the weird route, Noelle can cast Snowgrave on the Knight and kill them. I mean, freeze them the same way Birdie got frozen. And then we could reveal Knight's identity. I feel like that would be too much for the weird route specifically, because those kinds of reveals are more likely to happen in the normal route in my opinion. Echo Flower is a thing from Undertale which repeats what other people have said around the flower. So you can talk to the flower and this flower is gonna repeat what was said. This was a really cool concept in Undertale. I would love to see it in Deltarune, especially now considering how this chapter is gonna be themed around flowers. Ralsei okay moment. Pretty much every chapter thus far had an okay moment from Ralsei, which is basically a cutscene that plays that's really dumb and weird, and at the end of that cutscene, Ralsei says okay before it cuts to the gameplay. In chapters 1 and 2, this moment is pretty much mandatory to progress, but in chapters 3 and 4, it was like a hidden cutscene, I think. And I wonder if in chapter 5 it's gonna be also mandatory or if it's gonna be a secret cutscene somewhere. Divorce explained. I want to finally have an elaboration as to why Asgore and Toriel are divorced, which I think is likely considering how this chapter might be themed around Asgore, and we know that Asgore had something to do with the Black Shard, that he tried to save everyone and then got thrown out of the office, and I think then the divorce happened. Susie argues with Chris. The only way I see that happening is if Susie discovers that Chris was working with the Knight this whole time, which would lead to an argument of some kind between the two. Asgore confuses Ralsei for Asriel. If Asgore shows up in the Dark World, I think it makes sense that Asgore would maybe see Ralsei as Asriel and confuse them. Ferris wheel. Considering how the festival happens, it makes sense, but also I have no idea where the Ferris wheel would be placed. I just want it to exist in some capacity though in this chapter, so I guess we will see. It would be a throwback to chapter 2's Ferris wheel. Gaster name drop. There is a 0% chance that this is ever gonna happen, but I was kind of running out of options for this bingo card. I didn't know what else to put here, so I just put Gaster name drop, which I probably shouldn't have done, because if I get all the other things on this list and Gaster name drop is gonna be the only thing that's gonna prevent me from getting a bingo, well, that's gonna suck. Knight rematch. The only way for a rematch to make sense would be if we were actually able to defeat the Knight in some way, which I think could possibly happen in the weird route with Snowgrave, but I don't know. I also find it unlikely to happen, but not impossible. And like I said, I was running out of options. I don't know what else to put on this bingo card, so I just put some bullshit, like the last two options here. So this is my bingo card for chapter 5. We'll see if any of this is gonna happen. Only time will tell when chapter 5 finally comes out. Tomorrow, by the time you're seeing this video. I'm recording this ahead of time, but when this video shows up, chapter 5 is gonna come tomorrow, which is crazy to think about, it's so soon.